So today we're going to make flavoured oil. What you will need is olive oil, basil, chilli and garlic. Everything's been washed and it's been dried. It was bought this morning, so always use the freshest, best ingredients that you can get. There's two ways of doing this. You can either save your bottles and buy olive oil in whatever quantity you can, and then we can reuse these bottles. What I would say is that this has all got to be sterilised if you're going to use those. What I tend to do is I buy the oil that I want to use, like this. This is a nice one for gifts as well. And if you use the oil that's there, it's already sterile. The only thing you need to do is to take a little bit out of each one so that you can pop all the ingredients in, and then you can just about see the line, and then I fill it back up to the top. So I will do that with all of these, and then we'll just pour that back in. If there's any spare, I'll just pop it in with my normal olive oil. I tend to do more than one because we use this all the time, but they're good for gifts. So if you want to do it for Christmas, for example, just get it organised about 4 weeks before, and then it will be ready for people to enjoy straight away. So it's very simple. About 1 chilli for 500 millilitres bottle, and a sort of a big good handful of very good quality basil, and about, depending on the size of these, if these are big then you won't need as many. So I'll probably only put 3 of these big ones. But if they were smaller, obviously, it would be about 6. So I've got a glove on because I don't like chilies anywhere near me. So all we do is we take the seeds out of the chilli. You don't want those in there. And the key is you want everything small enough to go in the hole, but it needs to not be squashed in the hole because it needs to come back out again in a couple of weeks. So I'm going to do this quite thin, like that. And we're going to put one of these in each, 1 chilli in each one, and just perhaps work on one at a time so that you know what you've done. These bottles aren't quite as see-through as some. If you use something like this, you can actually see what you're doing. So it just depends on what you've got. So nice and thin so that they'll go in the hole. If you're going to use ones from supermarkets, for example this one is Sainsbury's, you need to make sure that any plastic thing that's on the top, I don't know where this one's gone, it's disappeared, but make sure that it's removable so that you can put things in and take them back out again. I'll show you one in a minute. So we've got 1 chilli in this, and you just peel the garlic, and again it just needs to be the freshest best that you can get. Take all of the skin off. So because I'm looking at the size of the hole, I'm just going to chop this up so it can easily fall in rather than being shoved in, so it should easily come back out again in a few weeks' time when we want it to. Like that. So there's one. Now we don't leave this in forever. We leave it in for 2 to 4 weeks depending on how strong you want it. Best way of knowing is smell it after 2 weeks. If you like the smell, then it's done. If you want a little bit stronger, leave it a bit longer. And then what we do is we strain all of this out because if you don't strain it out, as the oil gets used and the ingredients get revealed, they'll go mouldy, which you don't want. So if you take the ingredients out, then you can use the whole bottle. There's no urgency. It lasts for months in a cupboard. It doesn't need to be refrigerated. 3 garlic, and then a nice big handful of basil. You only use the leaves, don't use the stalk. So just make sure that they're nice ones, nothing and they need to be as dry as possible as well. These little ones are quite nice, they're very, very tender. So some of this is actually just from where it's been washed. If it's your own, you've grown it yourself and you know that there's nothing on there, then you don't necessarily need to wash it. But because this came from the farm shop this morning, I'm not entirely sure. So it's had a very good wash. So you don't want any brown bits, just lovely fresh green basil. And this is very much personal. If you like things quite strong flavoured, then you could put more in. So about a handful is about right. So I'm actually looking at what I've got left as well. So I need to make sure I've got enough for the 4 bottles that I'm planning on doing. So I'd say that was about right. So if we look at that, that is about a handful. Now because this is only a leaf, it will go in quite easily and it will come back out again because it will actually slide out with the oil after a few weeks. So this normally slides out very, very easily. And then what we'll do is obviously repeat this 4 more times. I like these bottles. These weren't as cheap as the supermarket brand, but I like the fact that it's got its own stopper and they would make very nice gifts. This is one of my absolute favourite things. I like making it and I like using it. You can use this on any kind of salad dressing. When we make roux sauce, cheese sauce for lasagna, I use this instead of the butter. Sometimes if I make a bread that requires olive oil, I'll use this instead, and it just gives everything a little depth of flavour. Really, really lovely flavours together, the combination. Right, I think that's it. Now, I'm just going to swirl that around. Need to make sure everything is covered. So if you look in there, you want everything covered. And then just to make sure, I'll use some of the oil and just fill it up. So you can go pretty much to where the stopper is going. So that's one done. And then this is what I do, always write it, particularly if you've got some on the go that you've already made and some, so I just write on here flavoured oil, and then I write down made, what's the date today, 25th, something like that, 25th of the 4th. It's unlikely you're going to need to know the year, but you can always put that on if you want. So that is literally, that's that simple. That is going to go away for a couple of weeks, 2 to 4 weeks. I'm going to carry on and do the others. So this is the last one, and it doesn't take very long. I tend to do them in batches just because it actually takes less time to do 4 than it does if you do 4 separate ones on different days. It means that I buy all the ingredients fresh and I do it on the same day. You must make sure that all the ingredients are covered. So this is the last thing to do. So literally just make sure everything's covered. If everything's covered in oil, then it will be infusing, not going mouldy. If you use anything like this, just make sure everything is spotlessly clean. Same thing applies, you label it, and after 2 to 4 weeks we'll take everything out. We just strain it out and put the oil straight back in the bottle. So it really is that straightforward, and that's it for today. Okay, this is the second part of flavoured oil. So I made this about 4 weeks ago now, but it can be done in about 2 to 3 weeks. Yes, it smells ready. So I've made it in the bottle that it came in, but you can use any bottle that you can get into. So you need one that's got a removable spout. And all we're going to do is, you can see everything's in there, we're going to just filter it. We want everything to come out. There you go. And we're simply going to put it back in that bottle. You can use the Grolsch type bottles, they're quite nice for gifts. You can use something like this. There may have been some rum drinking recently in this house. Any kind of bottle, again, it needs to be sterile, clean. But because this is for my use, I simply buy glass bottles with the removable stoppers. Everything comes out. I'm not sure what the nutritional value of that is, so I tend to just put it in the compost bin. You could perhaps put it in something, I'm not sure. I haven't found a use for it yet. So I'm going to compost this and then just simply put that oil back into the bottle. This is one of my favourite food ingredients. I first had it 25 something years ago when I used to work for Age Concern in Beckenham, and there was a lovely Italian deli just along the road, technically in Penge but just up the road, and they used to do these lovely ciabatta, mascarpone cheese salad sandwiches. And they used to just drizzle a bit of this on there instead of butter. And I still do that now after all these years. It's one of my favourite sandwiches. So, today we are having lasagna for dinner, and the roux sauce that we made for the topping, I use this instead of butter. And you can use it for salad dressings, any kind of Italian flavoured things that you're cooking. Use a bit of this oil. I make about 4 of these at a go, and then I've got months worth of stock. The reason why we take all of the ingredients out is as the oil goes down, if you leave everything in there, then it starts to be revealed and then it will go mouldy. So if you do this, then you can use it all the way to the bottom, and it's perfectly fine in the cupboard for months.